When I was in middle school, I started drawing comics for my class. Gradually, some of them ended up in the middle school newspaper and others became known among my peers, particularly when I began learning how to draw manga. These are some of my early drawings, and as I met others who were better, it pushed me to improve. And so as sketchbooks stacked up around me, I began to spend most of my time in and out of school just drawing, all the time. And so when I entered high school, I had dreams of creating manga and being the best there was at it. This is my story, but it's also the story of many others, one of which is this girl, Fujino. Now, Fujino spends the early parts of Look Back as a bit of a brash storyteller, drawing funny comics in her elementary school newspaper that reveal her knack for four-koma and comedy right from the start. She's praised by her fellow classmates, and admittedly this has gone to her head a bit as she is told one day that another student who can attend school wants to participate in the newspaper as well. This angers Fujino. She can't imagine someone else competing with her expertise, taking up precious space on her page with inferior art. Except the art isn't inferior at all, it's better, actually. Way better. And as students quickly drop their praise of Fujino as quickly as they made it up, she learns the first big lesson of every artist. Comparing yourself to others and obsessing over that comparison is often a very bad idea. Fujino is fiery, though. At the heart of this girl lies a burning passion for manga and a drive to be the best. And so she accepts this stranger as a challenger, buying up sketchbooks left and right, filling them with every assortment of anatomy and subject matter for years. And through a beautifully directed montage of imagery, we see the seasons change as she grows older and works hard to achieve her goals. But the truth is, it doesn't ever work that way in real life. Things aren't that simple. And I really like the way this story shows that truth without the false energy of a power fantasy shown in manga. Fujino spends several years honing her skills, but even as a 6th grader now with much improved drawing, the unknown artist still is far beyond her level, all without ever coming to class one single day. And so she says, "Fuck it, I'm out, I quit." And because Fujino keeps her word, she does quit, for years. Until high school, when she finally meets her rival. Now, Kyomoto is quiet, cute but underconfident, and afraid of people in the outside world. But the most surprising thing about their meeting is that Kyomoto, in the end, was the one who was able to see Fujino's talent from the start, even as she and everyone else forgot about it and left it far behind. And so with the wonderful flush of praise and this honestly very relatable running scene, Fujino makes a promise to herself and to Kyomoto to make a manga and show it to the world. This is the beginning of their relationship, and also where things take a turn. Fujimoto is an incredible artist and writer, and what is so amazing about Look Back as a piece of artistic storytelling is how well director Kiyotaka Oshiyama is able to translate his cinematic, snappy style to the screen in an incredibly effective way. Look Back's animation is often quite limited, showing frequent cuts through time skips and taking direct panels from the manga. And I think what makes this approach so effective is that it makes the pacing of what could have felt like a narrative slow burn feel like an extremely efficient and fitting sequence of story events instead. From the close-ups of the characters to the views of rural Japan and the city, the animation always feels like it's evolving and changing with the characters, even as it sometimes stays completely still. Oshiyama has stated in an interview on the film that the effect of drawing the main two characters over a year led to a natural change in the way they looked and a variation in the drawings. And this served the story well as they grew up and went in their separate directions. So let's look at that. See, here's the thing. I'm 25 now and standing at a quarter of my life over, and looking off the edge at my 30s and beyond, still far in the distance, but always getting a little bit closer day by day. As of now, I've spent time living in several countries and have found my early adulthood to be an important time for reflection, but also a time for confronting the experiences of my past and trying to find a way to take what I love and what makes me happy and transition into something that I can live and afford to feed myself with. In other words, making love practical, which I suppose in many ways is all but impossible, but it never stops us from trying as human beings. Getting a job, finding a partner, raising a family, these are all things I hope to accomplish in the next few years, but as how I'm going to do all of these things, well, I don't know. And the thing is, neither does Look Back. This is a film about two characters growing up together, helping each other with their dreams, drifting apart to pursue them, and the sadness that comes with losing your past. And then the film, well, it just ends. One day, a crazed man breaks into Kyomoto's university. She, along with almost a dozen other people, are killed. The film doesn't need to show us Fujino's reaction to the news explicitly, or to hear it. Instead, the film goes silent as she's taken out of the moment. The realization that her childhood friend and the person who reinstilled the very drive in Fujino to be the best and succeed is gone forever. And in the most painful and unjustifiably cruel way possible. The murders are a reference to the horrible massacre at Kyoto Animation in 2019, an arson attack that left 36 dead and 34 more hurt, one of the worst crimes in Japan's recent history. And you can feel the sense of loss in the film as Fujino is left to free fall into blaming herself for everything. If only she never drew the comic that slipped into Kiyomoto's room in the first place. If only they hadn't become friends. If only Kiyomoto hadn't gone to university. If only. And as with my own life and others' lives, these cries for help, well, they're often left unanswered. The movie briefly shows us another reality, one in which Fujino gives up drawing only to take up martial arts, a clever reference to an earlier interaction young Fujino has with her older sister. And in this reality, the crazed man is defeated by Fujino, and her meeting with Kyomoto leads to a college-age Fujino reviving the dreams of creating manga. This version feels a little bit more artificial and shonen-esque, while still staying within the boundaries of the film and matching the often cheeky disposition of its frequent comedic interactions. But the film is careful to link these two realities through the small comic that slips under Kiyomoto's bedroom door. It keeps the connection barely physical, the two worlds only tethered by a single piece of thin paper. And maybe the film wants you to think for a second, hey, this means the two stories are linked, crossing through different timelines. Maybe there is hope for Kyomoto after all. And while I think that there is a truth that exists within the narrative, I don't think that's the real focus here. Rather, the film leaves us with the question, what now? While there does seem to be a confirmed reality where Kyomoto lives, the one we are left with is a devastated Fujino picking herself up again and just resuming her work, carrying the weight of Kyomoto and their life on her shoulders and thrusting herself back into drawing, both as a distraction from grief and as a way to keep honoring what they built together, a passion for the love of art and storytelling. The film isn't sugarcoating death, it hits hard and fast, leaving us trying to find our footing any way we can. And it also makes us remember that our relationships can be all too fast and fleeting, with people entering and leaving our lives in an instant. If I had watched this film when I was a bit younger, I think I would have been frustrated. The feeling that the mystery wasn't solved. I was dragged along for 2 hours just to see the credits with no palpable conclusion. Something that younger me would have attributed to narrative laziness and an incomplete film with a beginning and no end. But really, there is an end to this film. One that turns back to the audience and gives us the chance to respond. We will carry that weight. We will continue to live and breathe and pursue our dreams, just like Fujino. Her story doesn't end with the film, it ends with us, and it ends simply when it needs to. I think as an adult, I understand that now. It's not about what's happening next, it's about what's happening now. And I think that's the perfect way to end this story. As the credits roll, the night sky fades into view as Fujino finishes her drawing and leaves the room, turning off the light. And with that, the film stops rolling. The rest is for us to decide. Look Back is an expertly crafted film that takes a difficult narrative subject and translates it into a beautifully poignant, bittersweet narrative on growing older, pursuing your dreams, and the struggle with loss and maturity. And I think in the end, despite everything, of course it was never Fujino's fault. She is the reason Kyomoto was able to have a life and a childhood to remember fondly, and I never completely believed events would have played out the way the film's alternate reality showed they would. To me, it felt like an imagined fantasy that somehow was able to reach the real world from some dream realm far away. So yeah, Fujino. I still think that despite everything, it was all worth it in the end. But what do you think? How do you feel about the open ending, and how do you like Fujimoto's work as a whole? Let me know about it in the comments below. But as always, like, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Thanks so much for watching.